This is a perfect transition to move into speaking about the law of relativity, as above, so below, as within, so without. That's another reason why I really connected to the work that you do, because you speak to that so often. And so if you wouldn't mind speaking your wisdom to that.
Yes, Leah. I mean, as within, so without. And the point is that just as in the solar system, you see, I mean, and there are so many parallels of it. This is just one example that I'm sharing, that just as the sun is the center of the solar system, and we say that around which we see that all the other planets revolve. So if you look at the micro level, we in our own cell, I mean, the researchers show that in our own cell, we have a nucleus around which every other thing revolves, and there are these fluids inside which holds all of this together. So this is the beauty of knowing that as without, so within. That is why you would see that a lot of ancient cultures, such as Indian or such as Egyptian, they used to align everything, especially their structures. The pyramids, for example, back in India, the ancient temples, they were very much in alignment with what was there in the universe in terms of the sun, in terms of the stars, in terms of, like there were these strategically aligned temples where people used to gather in the morning to see the sunrise through a particular gateway. And to see the sunrise or to interact with the sunrise in that manner and absorbing its rays would do something inside. Why? Because the outside world would speak and interact with the inside world. Now, isn't it true, Leah, that you will feel more comfortable interacting with somebody whose thought process is familiar to you, whose thought process you agree with or you would want to know more of? And that is, again, one of those sacred laws that naturally we gravitate towards that which feels familiar. And which is what these ancients were trying to do also, that they were trying to make themselves similar to the universe, so that the universe starts interacting with them, so that the universe starts channelizing through them. And today what we see in the day and age of concrete, you see, modernization is great. I mean, that's the reason how you and I are able to interact, sitting across the world. However, when we surround ourselves with too much concrete, it also comes in the way of us interacting with the universe. I mean, my ancients used to sleep outside, exposed to the sunlight and the stars, right? Today, how many of us are doing that? Plus, we can't do that out of security. So we are in a way disconnected with that universe, and which is why we see so many disalignments happening, so much chaos happening around us. We all know what came in the news today, and there is just every day we get to hear something, and we are like, my God, is that natural? How are they even allowing this? But we hear that those things are happening, and that is because we are disaligned. We are not in alignment with the way the universe is. Eventually, it will start showing in our own health as well, which it already has. There are these new diseases coming up every day, which mankind had never even heard of. Well, obviously, because our body, now that it is in disalignment, reaps, certain things come up which it doesn't know how to deal with. So where modernization has its positive, so does it have its negative. And I think the key here is definitely a balance as far as we can align. But the first balance that can come into picture is through wisdom, through at least knowing, through at least becoming aware that yes, there is some sacred truth. By sacred, of course, we do not mean religion. By sacred, we mean that what is the primordial, what lies at the root of it. For example, these days I also see, not these days, like since a long time, I see astrology, Leah. When I entered into this world, it was so overwhelming for me because everybody was using it only for prediction. And for me, it was a very scary zone that how is it that if I look at Leah's chart and I tell her that this is bad and that is going to happen wrong for you, so you be aware about this 1 year down the line or 2 years down the line, or this is when your career will pick up, so you do this and all. That used to really overwhelm me. And that is how I started to look at astrology in a more aligned manner to see that can I tell to Leah something about herself so that she can align herself to who she truly is, in terms of her soul, in terms of what she brings with herself, in terms of if there are any karmic patterns that need to be released or that need to be worked on, so that as far as possible, she can be empowered and take the command of her life back, instead of being told that 2 years later this is going to happen to you. What if I tell you that these are your tendencies? So you see, I mean, now it's your choice whether you can change your behavior pattern and let something else happen 2 years later to you.
Right.
At least at least we should have a choice, right?
Yes, Neha. You're exactly right. It's the education, it's the knowledge. And because when we have that information, we take it into our system, we process it, and then we do with it what needs to be done in our present moment. And if we are constantly, if we're thinking, oh, in 2 years this, then we're just living out of that fear space. But
Exactly.
if we're just taking it in as information, then it's stored in us to be used however it needs to be when it comes up in our present moment. So I love that you say it's not about, saying what's going to happen down the line. It's about learning who you are in alignment. It's about looking at your chart and finding the things that bring you into alignment so that you can focus on that alignment piece. Because it's
Exactly.
only from that space of alignment that we're connected to everything outside of us.